Well, I think we are live and I'm really excited. This is my second live for the day, talking about something that I'm truly, truly passionate about. And I have two amazing ladies with me today. Both of them are incredible mums. Both of them are passionate educators as well. And both of them have found the Nurtured Heart approach, found me, found the Nurtured Heart approach, and are both implementing it so beautifully in their home and in their business or workplace. So I'll introduce them both separately, but I wanted to bring them on today because in just a week or so, on March the 12th, I'm doing my next masterclass. And normally my masterclasses are geared predominantly for parents, but this time I really wanted to make a little bit more of an emphasis for educators, because I think if we could teach or empower educators to use this Nurtured Heart approach, we could really impact so many families, so many children, so many educators to live and to have a more joyful experience in their workplace. And it would fill my heart so much to have educators and parents working back to back. Hence why I've got these two beautiful ladies on who both happen to be educators and, of course, parents as well. So Simone and her lovely husband, Marcus, contacted me about a year ago. I don't even recall how you found me, Simone, but you tell the story and tell us about your journey so far with Nurtured Heart.
Thank you, Lillian. Yeah, I've been trying to remember how did I come across you? Oh, yes. I found the Parenting Support Network on the internet. And we were at a point where my husband and I remember sitting down at the lunch table one weekend, looking at each other, and we said really to each other, we've lost the joy. Where can we find the joy? So we have 4 children, and now their ages are between 8 and 3. So they're all 4 children in 5.5 years.
Wow.
So yes, it's busy, but particularly my eldest is now, as I know, an intense child. And we found you at that point in time. It was a bit of a leap of faith to go with NHA initially, but just having those phone calls, Lillian, you gave me so much time and you really made me feel confident. And that's how we made the leap.
Yay, I'm so glad you did. So you've been having some great, like you told me so many amazing stories of how it's working for you and Marcus in your home with your 4 beautiful children. But Simone is also a Montessori teacher, well, a teacher in general, but also Montessori trained. And she does casual work in a local Montessori school, which, by the way, that school has done our program as well, which is exciting. So tell us a little bit about how you're incorporating it into your home and into your workplace as well.
Yeah.
Then we'll come back to Inya in a minute.
Yeah, that is actually a really simple answer, because once NHA gets into you, that's just part of you.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's because it's from the heart. So my husband, he was even better at adopting it to start with than me, and he still turns out to be the best one at it. Although we don't go a day, my husband and I, without using NHA on our children and on each other as well. But because it became just part of the way we do life, it rolled over into part of the way that I teach and how I interact with children. And we have a variety of children, and there's, of course, like everyone, a variety of children with different needs. And it just worked so well. And the school was so welcoming because of the principles. It's heart-centered, and it is easy to welcome something that is so heart-centered. And then seeing how effective it was in my home, and then, of course, they trusted me, and then I went to the classroom, and it was effective there too. And I cannot teach without it, Lillian.
Wow. Well, I'm going to get you to I might let Inya introduce herself. Then I'm going to ask you to come back and give some examples. And for people who have no idea what Nurtured Heart approach is, you're going to do the teaching today, not me. So I'll ask you through your explanation through the way that you're using it to maybe give people, and imagine the person listening in has no idea what you're talking about, NHA, Nurtured Heart Approach. They don't know what it is yet, right? So we'll come back to you with and to share some examples. But Inya, tell us your story and how we met.
I joined a different family daycare provider, which is Rainbow Bridge, and they did like a summit with lots of different speakers on there, and we were the first one, and I just fell in love with what you were selling, what you were teaching us there. And because my daughter is the intense one, and I had lost being the happy mom. I lost the joy, like Simone was saying. I just felt like I was nagging, telling her off all the time. It was one fight after the other. It was just not fun. And hearing you speak was like, yeah, that's my path. Like, I've already been in generally positive, inclined and encouraging, but this was just the next step up that I wanted to go for, and it's been amazing to see in only like 4 months the changes in my daughters. We even reaching a point now where they're starting to use it as well within each other. So the other day we're traveling back from the coast, and it's like, okay, what is one of the greatnesses you want to work on in the next couple of days while we're away? And we all find one that we wanted the other person to improve on, so we worked on how to encourage
Just
them.
breaking
So
up a
really
bit
nice.
there, Inya. You're just breaking up a bit.
Sorry.
I think that's better. Thank you.
I hope. Yeah. So we all started setting our goals, and the girls are really, really into it and wanting to help each other now more, instead of it's still a lot of like, the oldest one is selling the little one off, but we're starting to see the change in dynamic there as well, that we are encouraging each other instead of pushing each other down, which is lovely. So I basically learned about you through family daycare, but I was like, I need it for my family, and as I said, the changes were amazing straight up, and I started using it at work, and my children are 2 years and younger when I started using it. So they're very little, but even with them, it's been amazing to see how they just smile with the energy. I'm learning to use bigger words that I never knew before, which is like, I'm learning. And the children just like, they just look at me with a big smile when I start, just like, yeah, I don't know what we're talking about, but they're loving it.
They're picking up on your energy.
This week, and this week I had a 10-month-old little one starting, and rest time was not his favorite time, so there was lots of screaming, and the other kids that are used to my environment, I was like, I can't give them any attention physically, because I am the little one is just taking my physical presence. So I was using Nurtured Heart on those little ones constantly, from where I was sitting and rocking the baby. It was like, I know he's making a lot of noise, but look at you, how amazing you guys are, just still doing your own little play, and you're checking in to see if I need anything, and you help packing up. It shows so much responsibility, and it just flowed. And even the child that I thought he's going to start testing me because he's missing the attention, he survived with a big smile on his face the entire time. So it's amazing how much impact it has from littlies that don't even have the language. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I will come back to you, but we were losing you. You were coming in and out a little bit. So we lost you a little bit. So we'll come back to Simone, and you might be able to find a better reception spot in the meantime. Thank you. So that's awesome to hear, Inya, that you can use this on children so young and start using those beautiful words and just acknowledging the kids for their patience and, and so forth at such a young age is amazing, because that's how we actually build the qualities that we want in our children, by acknowledging them when we see them, and even the little baby steps. And I know, Simone, you talk a lot about baby steps with your journey, because sometimes it is the very little baby steps. I know that, I've been doing this work for a long time, and sometimes people go, well, how soon before my household's going to be perfect type of thing. And I'm like, well, probably never, but it's going to be a whole lot better, you know, and it's a gradual thing. It's not something that you just go and learn a tool today and tomorrow everything's okay. It's like, and I say this to people who join me, it's like learning a new language. It really is learning the language of Nurtured Heart approach. So Simone, I still haven't given much away around what Nurtured Heart is. So if you want to intertwine that into how you're using it yourself personally, for the person who's listening in who doesn't know anything or much about it, let us know how you're using it, and you know what it, like you say, you use it every day. What is it doing for your family?
Nurtured Heart approach is a way of interacting with each other, and I've used a lot of different words to help other people initially understand. So some people have, it's a style of discipline, it's a style of communication, it's all of these things actually together, but actually it's a form of relationship. And yes, we want the best quality relationship, and we have to change the culture. And Lillian, you often have told me it's upside down. So we are building the children. We're building them by using very clear description of what they're doing. And I'll give you some examples. So if I have a child that is helping with something, I will take the time to acknowledge them. They've put their plate up after dinner every day of the week. But it is still an effort for my 3-year-old to do that. And I acknowledge that he is putting in a lot of effort. He's showing a lot of consistency in that moment. And that builds him to continue that next week without my harassing, but with joy. And I have had a joyful moment reminding him rather than a nagging moment. It just is an upside down energy in that moment. And then sometimes I can describe it like a discipline. So NHA is very clear with rules, and that is such a blessing because my eldest daughter, who's an intense child, thrives on knowing where the boundaries are, having really clear boundaries, and has given me the confidence to state those boundaries clearly, where I had really had fluffy boundaries. And it was always a challenge to share the boundaries in a positive way. But NHA makes them clear and loving, and it gives me the tools to be able to do that. And then I like how we were hearing that story about the crying child, and that is where the NHA shines, in those moments of high intensity, high stress for the child, the teacher or the parent, all of that happening, and we have plenty of those intense moments in a day. It can help us hold on to the joy, the respect, and it can get us through the situation with a positive outcome, with just being normal and not expecting yourself to be a superhuman person. So you can imagine you can't do a day without that.
So I loved when the three of us had a conversation last week on the call, and I'm not sure which one of you, I think you both concurred together that it's brought the joy back into your parenting and into your relationships. And I know that we as parents, particularly those of us who have children who are that little bit more intense, if that's the word we want to use, full of life. Well, we call intensity a life force in Nurtured Heart approach. We don't say it as a negative thing. It's a beautiful life force. And I know that, you know, definitely when I was parenting and teaching, I was focusing so much on that intensity as a negative thing, and you know, seeing so many of the things that my son was doing and focusing on all the things wrong instead of looking for the things he was doing well. And I look back in my classroom time, I look back in my parenting time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew this back then. And it's a whole new way of communicating and relationshiping. Not only does it help our relationship with our children, our biological children in our homes, with our students, the young ones that we care for, like Inya, but with our relationships with each other. You know, if you've got a partner, siblings, parents, you know, it helps us to, and even with strangers, we've talked about many examples of how, and I think Inya had a good one, you know, of using it with strangers as well. And it actually feels really good And we talk about the difference between a heartfelt acknowledgement and junk food, because many of you are probably awesome parents and educators saying, thank you, good job, well done. But that is what we in Nurtured Heart Approach call junk food praise, because yes, it's acknowledging them, but it's not telling them, what does that show about you? What character, what attribute, what quality does what you just did tell about you? And that's where the Nurtured Heart Approach really shines, because we're building up that portfolio of greatness. We're building up in the children a sense of their self-worth, their self-esteem, self-respect, self-love, and a sense of who I am as a person. I am a resilient person. I am caring. I am loving. I am cooperative. I am a rule follower. I bring joy into this family, and that's what we want to build up in our children. And the younger we can start that, the better, which is why I'm excited for Inya doing and sharing this with such young children in her care. But it's never too late to switch a relationship around. Even if your child is 16, 17, 18 or beyond, it's never, ever too late. And if you're an educator and you're educating older children, once again, it's never too late, because we adults love being acknowledged and seen and heard and recognised, and so do our kids, even the ones who sometimes respond in a way that you might feel they're being negative about it, but really in their heart, they're taking it in positively. But sometimes they just don't know how to cope with it, because sometimes, sadly, they don't feel like they deserve the acknowledgement and recognition. So I'm so happy that that you're bringing joy into your home, more joy. I know you and Marcus are beautiful parents, but you're bringing more joy into your home with your family. But you are impacting those children that you teach and care for at school as well. And having introduced the Nurtured Heart Approach to the school and to the teachers there is a very big blessing. And I know it's baby steps for everybody there, because it is a whole new way of communicating. And for us teachers, sometimes we're quite stuck in our ways. So it does take a little bit to flip that and to switch it and to turn it around. But every time you see a bit of a result, you go, what, this really does work, as you've shared both Simone and Inya. You go for it, Inya, please.
Yeah, I think as well, like when you start using the approach and you learning those big words, I felt silly. I didn't know the words to use. So it's like, I want to say all this cool stuff, but I don't really know how to put it. And it was nice to practice with my own kids first, because they wouldn't be like what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of like go through that phase of like, this sounds over the top and it sounds ridiculous and I don't know the words, but you persevere through that moment, and there's like Simone saying, it becomes just a way you start talking and start expressing yourself, because it becomes your way of being, and that's when the changes are happening. So it's going through that uncomfortable moment in yourself and build yourself up and going like, I'm trying, I'm giving it a go, and look at me, I'll try again tomorrow. And then you build yourself up and then it just becomes natural. Yeah,
absolutely. And I don't know if you realize how far you've come, because I remember you saying you felt really clumsy and uncomfortable and you didn't have the words necessarily, but you are using recognitions with such flow and such ease, and so from the heart and genuine. And I think that's what we all aspire to do. And we do feel a bit clumsy initially. And the kids are like, what are you on about? Where did this come from? Where's my yelling mum gone, or dad? But I think that the kids get to really appreciate. Have any of your children, Simone, commented about how different it feels, or Inya?
Yeah, I found it's a real culture changer, and I'm even reflecting to some of my students. Even just last week, one of the students was having some challenges. He's got lots of energy, young boy, kindergarten level, and he is, look, you are getting your bag on the hook. I can see you walking to, you are hanging that up. You have picked up that hat. And he turned around at me and he took a breath and he said, I am learning, aren't I?
Oh.
And that would have been traditionally a negative moment, but it had this amazing positive spin on it, thanks to NHA. Yeah.
And that's our most basic active recognition, which is just acknowledging what you're seeing. We have 4 recognition techniques, and that's the first most basic one. And Inya, what about your girls? Have they made any outward comments about how
From the first moment. From the first moment, my youngest was like, "Mum, why are you saying all these things suddenly?" with a big smile on her face, just questioning where the change came from. So I explained to her what I was doing. And now recently, it's when we sit down and share greatnesses, all this is always coming up with, "Mum, there's so many greatnesses you've got. But one of the things is that you are so good at sharing greatnesses. That's amazing, Mum." So she's being filled up and then happy to share with me, like, "Mom, you're doing a good job,"
Oh,
so
isn't it
yeah,
great when it comes back?
yeah. And she's even started to, teach other people as well, like when we're out and about and I say something, or I kind of go like, "You find a greatness," and she'll go like explaining to the strangers, because that's how her brain works too. She'll be a good teacher if you want to listen. So yes, she's like, "Well, Mom's saying such and such because this and that," and and she's learning. She's already a good mom, but she's learning and she keeps learning. So it's nice.
That's excellent. I love it when the kids come back and use it from their heart, whether, sometimes we have to kind of teach them or guide them or encourage them, but when it actually just comes out of them as a genuine way of communicating, especially when you see it with the kids with each other, just using it kind of unknowingly even, it's so beautiful to see. So the more you can model it in your home and in your classroom, the more the children will actually pick up on that way of communicating. Because I remember you telling me the story, Simone, from your last week's work, where you taught the older kids to use nurtured heart approach on the younger kids who were being a bit annoying. So it was win-win for everybody there. But we better start winding up, because I did say about 20 minutes, but we could talk about this all day and all night. But I would love to encourage anybody who's jumping on, and Simone and Inya might be joining us live on the masterclass if they can. If not, I'll be reading out something beautiful that they've written, but I'd love for them to join us live. And we would love for you to join us, whether you're an educator of any age, children, so like Inya, from babies onwards, or whether you're a primary or secondary teacher, if you are a parent, or if in any shape or form you care for children, as a parent, as just a carer in general, an educator of any shape or description, or even if you just communicate with anybody, because basically it's a tool that will help you to communicate with anybody. So anybody who does join us live, now I did put on the flyer that all educators will get a hard copy of The Best Teacher I Can Be. So I'm actually an author of 6 books, and this is my book number 6, The Best Teacher I Can Be. You can already download the Revolting Child book for free off my website, and that's an interesting read. I'll be talking a little bit about that on the masterclass. So teachers will get a hard copy. And then if you are a parent, I am now going to give a hard copy of my workbook for children, The Best Me I Can Be, which was my second of the 6 books. So anybody who attends live will get one of those books. So it's March the 12th, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's Queensland time. We will still be in daylight savings. So that's an hour later for you girls in New South Wales or anybody in the other states. We would love to have you join us. All you need to do is email me. I'll pop the flyer in the link. Email me to say that you'd like to join us. I will then send you all the information you need in a return email. We would love to have you join us. You can join us either on Zoom. If Facebook cooperates nicely, we'll also be on my Parent Support Network Facebook page, which is the one that Simone talked about. You can join either way, whichever one you're most comfortable with. We would love to have you join us, and we would love to help you spread the word of Nurtured Heart. So any last words from either of you before we go, ladies?
Don't hesitate and reclaim the joy.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes. Same here. I was like, after attending, you'll feel what I felt, and you just want to start doing it. It's an amazing change.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies. I'm going to close out the Facebook Live. Thank you for anybody who's listening in live or is listening to this replay. We appreciate your time. That shows a lot of greatness in you, that you've actually taken the time to watch this, to learn something new. and to impact your relationships with your family. So thank you. I appreciate your time and you being here. Thank you.